I would say that when we look at bias, I guess the first question would be a short question, just to reiterate and make sure it's very clear. You did find evidence of biased individuals who were involved with the investigation.
That's correct.
Okay. And I think that's very clear. And is it difficult to determine what people's motives are, or whether they're biased or not biased?
It's very difficult.
Right. And so just by saying you didn't find it doesn't mean it didn't exist. It doesn't mean you couldn't have had 15 people very biased who influenced every one of their decisions. You just can't prove it.
We could not prove it. We lay out here what we can prove.
Okay. One specific instance I'd like to ask you about, though. The OGC attorney is the one I think you've referred for criminal evaluation. Correct?
I'll just say we've referred to the Attorney General and the FBI Director.
Right. For possible, and that's the possible criminal evaluation. He also had text messages that said, Vive la Resistance. Did you interpret those to be, or what would your opinion, does that show that he might have had some bias against the Trump administration?
Well, he was one of the individuals in last year's report precisely for those text messages that we referred to the FBI precisely for that concern.
But you interpreted that as an evidence of bias. But I guess my question would be, if you saw that he was biased, he's obviously made errors that you think actually may have been intentional. Why in that instance would you not be free to say that there's documentary evidence of not only bias but then malfeasance?
That's precisely why we don't say that as to the errors, the failures in the FISA process.
Right, but could you then specifically say the opposite, that actually in this instance there actually was evidence of political bias and evidence of record changing that looks like malfeasance?
There is evidence of both. I agree with you, but we will I want to make sure there's a fair process.
That's fine, and I think the chairman's very correct that the media has misinterpreted what you've said and drawn conclusions that I don't think are accurate as to what you're saying, and people should read the report, and the report is very damning as to the process. Whether there's bias or not, there are problems. Now, getting to your solutions, you've suggested that, and I think you're attempting to make